Hello everyone, I'm Kat from the Littlestown Library of the Adams County Library System, and welcome to our Tiny Art for Adults and Teens, which is a very special one in honor of Star Wars Week. May 4th was Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you! And so we are going to have a Star Wars themed painting of the Mandalorian and the child on Tatooine, if you recognize the desert landscape and the two suns there. So that is what we're going to be painting today. If you signed up for a tiny art kit, then you will receive the following. A blank 4x4 canvas, a tiny easel, a paintbrush, 6 paint pots with the following colors: yellow, orange, red, dark blue, white, and black. So those are the colors you'll get, and you will also receive a stencil trace out of the Mandalorian and the child, which you can then cut out. If you'd rather, you can just go ahead and freehand the image of those two. They're actually not that hard to do, but I honestly prefer working with stencils if I have to, especially with like humanoid figures, because I just feel like I messed them up. So I figured I'll provide a stencil. So if you want to use that, you can. You will have to cut it out and then use a pencil to trace it onto the canvas when we reach that point. But if you'd rather just freehand it and just use the stencil as a reference, you are welcome to do that as well. I also recommend that you have a paper towel or newspaper to put down so that way you don't drip paint everywhere, as well as another paper towel to clean your brush. Something to hold clean water in to help clean your brush is also useful. And if you happen to have any old plastic containers, as you can see, this one I've used to do painting on, or if you have a paper plate or something like that, that will be very helpful because that way you can mix the colors together. There is going to be one point where you will need to mix, so if you have anything that you can use as a palette, if you don't have an official palette, that would be great. So again, if you have not received an art kit, but you have these supplies at home, then you can just follow along with the instructional video, but you'll get those other things in the art kit if you signed up. So without further ado, let's go to a galaxy far, far away and start painting. So first we are going to take yellow, and we are going to start painting the background for the sky. And since this is Tatooine, which is a desert planet, I'm going to be using a lot of the yellows, oranges, reds, that kind of thing. So we want to come about a third of the way down with the yellow. Okay, it's about a third of the way down with the yellow. It's okay if you come down a little bit further than that, because we're going to blend that then with the orange, which will be the next layer. Clean our brush, wipe that off, and then get some orange and take that right across along where the yellow is. And then we're going to blend those two together so it doesn't look quite so much like a stripe. If you've painted any of our previous tiny arts that have skies in them that change color, you'll know that you want to make sure that you don't have these sharp let me adjust the light a little bit. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to get the lighting so that it looks as close on camera as it does in real life, and I apologize if it doesn't quite work out. So we come about another third of the way down with the orange. And don't forget to paint the sides if you have a canvas that has sides. If you don't, then you don't need to worry about that step. And then we're going to clean our brush. And we're going to put some red right along here. And then clean our brush again real quick and add a little white. So it's a bit more of a pinkish red. And then blend those two together. There we go. So it blends in better with the orange and isn't quite so stark of a contrast. So we'll do another band of red right down here. And we'll add a tiny bit of white. So it's a little bit darker than the previous band, but still a bit lighter than the regular red just by itself. Just make sure all of that blends. There we go. There we are. I just adjusted the light again, and so hopefully you can see that progression from the yellow into the orange into the red. Yeah. So we're going to make sure that that dries completely before we move on to the next step. Okay, so now that that has dried, we are going to take about 2 or 3 little scoops of red. This is where if you have a plastic lid that you don't use or a paper plate, this is where it comes in handy because it's much easier to mix on something like this. So just if you could get like two scoops of red and then a scoop of blue, of the dark blue, and then mix those together, you'll get kind of a dark purplish sort of color, because this is what we're going to use for the sand dunes, since this is Tatooine and it's sunset and we've got sand dunes. So just coming kind of roughly down like this. And you can make them as big or as small as you want. You can have them be really high, you can have them be kind of low, whatever works for you. And then just fill in this area down here. And yeah, just kind of slooping it down this way. Just make sure it does go all the way from one corner to the next. And then finish filling that in. And then you want to take a little dab of black and mix that in with the color, with the purplish mixture that you made, because we want it to be a little darker down here, maybe a little bit more blue, and just kind of add that in to kind of give it some shading and sort of blend that together so it's nice and smooth, nice smooth strokes. I've got this random little bit of blue on the spot on the side, but that's okay, I can get rid of that. And then just some nice schloop right across there. Alrighty. And then you want to clean off your brush. Oh, that looks really dark on the canvas, on the through the camera there. It's not quite that dark on the in real life there. So then we want to take some red, another scoop of red, and kind of mix that in with the purple to make it still dark but a little bit lighter. And then do another sand dune over here. Oh, I need a little bit more red with that. So it's a little brighter. And then just make sure that you have a well-defined edge between the two. Kind of trying to make that. It's a little bit harder with this brush there, but there we go. So there's a sand dune in the distance. And I need to sharpen up my edge a little bit because I kind of melded them. So I need to take my darker and go along. There we go. Right along that edge. All right, that's not bad at all. Okay, so now we have to let this part dry completely. This might take a little bit longer if you got heavy on the paint, but this part has to dry completely before we go on to the next portion. And while you're waiting for that to dry, now would be a good time to cut out the stencil that was provided for you of the Mandalorian and the child. Because probably by the time you're done cutting this out, then the canvas will be ready for the next step. Okay, once your canvas is completely dry and you have your stencils cut out, you will want to lay your canvas down flat and then place the stencils on the canvas roughly where you would like them to be at. We will be putting a black silhouette line down here for a base for them to actually stand on, but it's easier to get them traced, I think, before that. So you'll want to place them on here wherever it is that you would like to put them. You can put them slightly more down here. You can have it more centered. It's kind of up to you where exactly you want to put them, how closely you want to put them, and then you'll want to take a pencil and trace around them. It doesn't have to be really dark, except maybe down here, but just enough so that you can see where you're going to need to put the black paint. And you'll notice this part in his arm, I wasn't able to cut out. So basically, once I've got the rest of him traced, then I'll kind of do my own little approximation there to give me an idea. These aren't going to be super detailed because they are silhouettes and you're on a desert. So, you know, the air is shimmering and all that fun stuff. So I'm going to pause the camera while I trace these because it's really difficult for me to try to trace and film at the same time for something this detailed. So we will be right back after we're done tracing. Okay, so now you can see that my tracing is done, and you can tell from the light reflecting, you can still see all the outlines there. So what we're going to do now is we are going to take our black paint and we are going to paint inside the lines. So I'm going to start off with Baby Yoda down here. And if you happen to have a detail brush, that's probably better for doing something like this because they are kind of small, and this is kind of the brush that we give you in the kit is kind of more of an all-purpose brush because we can't afford to do specialized brushes for every paint kit. But as you can see, like, this is basically doing the job. It's you just have to take it nice and slow, use the edge of your brush sometimes. And again, these are silhouettes, so it's totally okay for them to be a little bit fuzzy because, again, they're on a desert. This is, you know, there's lots of heat and mirages and shimmers and everything. So it is totally okay if these are not perfect. And if you can see, I can tell from looking at it in real life that I might need to do a second coat for some of these. But that's okay for right now. I don't have to worry about that. So, and it's okay if you go down below a little bit because we're going to do a, across the bottom, we're going to do something as well. So we'll do a strip of black there. So, and we'll get some, so Baby Yoda's done, and now we're going to get some for Mando. And again, we might have to do 2 coats because of the bright background, some of this may need to be touched up so that it stays a really stark black color. Again, it's not looking too bad on the camera, but in real life, I'm probably gonna have to do another coat once this one dries, just to make it look a little more solid. So we're going down here, getting his foot. So there we go. And getting his other leg here. And finishing that leg. And get his arm there. We'll get this thing down here, the end of his iconic weapon here. I guess it's what, a blaster pike? Something like that? An electro pike? I forget the exact. Someone comment and tell me what the actual name of this weapon is, because I keep thinking it's like an electro pike or something. But, well, I think he uses it as a sniper rifle sometimes too, so it's some Mandalorian multi-purpose weapon here. acts as a staff and a gun and a stun gun and all that fun stuff. Sorry if my voice sounds kind of weird coming all over the place through this. Normally I look through the camera while I'm doing these paintings, but this is so detail oriented that I'm actually craning my neck around the camera to look at the actual canvas. So I apologize if anything goes out of focus or if my voice sounds weird, because I am just, this is requiring me to actually look at the physical canvas rather than just through the camera, because this has so many details and my brush doesn't always want to cooperate. Because it's got, you see my brush is kind of getting some spots that are sort of, parts of the brush are kind of sticking out to the side, and that can make some weird things that I don't want. So there we go. All right, so there's my Mandalorian, and I'm gonna go ahead and do the black down here that they're standing on the foreground, since they've just come over the dunes there. So we'll just kind of do that across the front, and we'll probably need to do another coat of that as well, just to make it dark. Of course, it might dry completely dark and we'll be fine, but I'm not 100% sure if that will happen. So we're going to go ahead and let that dry completely, and we will probably go ahead and do a second coat. And then once that final coat is done, then we will do our final touch-up for it. So go ahead and let that dry for about 10-ish minutes, and we'll be back then. Okay, so we are back, and although it probably still looks pretty dark on the camera, in real life it actually does need another coat. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. Oh yeah, that looks much better. That will make it look less messy, and yeah, that'll do. That'll do just fine. So yeah, this will need 2 coats for this, just so that way the silhouette looks solid and not smeary, because they're supposed to be actually there. They're not holograms or anything like that, so they have to look more solid. And we'll also redo the down here as well once I'm done taking care of the top here. I'm trying to keep the outline a little crisper. Okay, looking good. So Amanda looks good. Now we gotta go on to Baby Yoda. Okay, so I'll do across across the bottom again. Whoops, sorry, didn't mean to hit the camera there. Alrighty, whoops. Somebody pulled off some of the paint there. Okay, so now we'll want to go ahead and let this dry completely once again, probably be about another 10 minutes. And then we'll be on to the very last piece. We're going to add a little bit of detail to Mando's helmet and to give him that iconic look. And we're also going to add Tatooine's 2 sons. So we'll go ahead and let that dry, and we will be back again for the final piece. Alright, it is time for the finishing details. So I'm going to get a little bit of white paint on the edge of my brush, and we are going to attempt to make Mando's. Oh, it's so, no. I need a finer brush for this. It's okay. It will be fine. Yeah, I really need a smaller brush for this. Ta-da! Yeah, I might need to use a little bit of black to touch that up, because holy moly, that is a giant helmet. Of course, you'd actually be able to see out of that, as opposed to that teeny tiny little slit that they have. Oh my. Okay, well, I'm gonna leave that for the moment. I'll touch that up later. Alright, so the next thing will be to do Tatooine's 2 sons. So we're gonna go ahead and do the larger son up here in kind of a rough circle. Circle shape. Rough circle shape. Okay. Yeah, that's an egg. Oh, that is not a circle cat. That is an egg. We want a circle. That is closer to being a circle. Yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's desert haze. We'll just go with that. Okay, so there's that one, and then we want the other sun, which would be a little bit lower, and that one is a little bit smaller because it is farther away. So we will just do that. I really need more of a detail brush for this, but that's okay. There we go. Okay, so we got that. And then we'll clean off our brush real quick. Get a little bit of yellow on our brush and kind of do a squiggly to indicate that there is kind of a cloud. And then we'll do a little bit of orange. And just do a squiggly there. So that we have a little bit more of an atmosphere kind of going along there. There we go. Okay. Alrighty, there we go. So I'm going to actually use a little bit of white to kind of, there we go. That sun was looking a little bit oddly lopsided there. I needed a little bit more. There we go. That's better. Alrighty. I like that. Okay. So now, because I am not happy with how that helmet got so overpowering. I'm gonna take a little bit of black. Narrow that down. I'm just getting it just on the very, very edge of my brush and narrowing up the visor a bit because that was just too much. That was just much too much. There we go. That's better. That is much better. Again, looks better when you have an actual more of a detail brush there, but I'm just trying to give it a little more of a light. Eventually you just have to kind of stop because you can fiddle with it for hours. That kind of looks like what I just did, but it actually is a little bit different. And if I can just get a little bit away from the edge there. There we go. That's better. Alrighty. So there we go. There is our silhouette of Mando and the Mandalorian and the child on Tatooine. So we hope that you enjoyed this special tiny art for Star Wars Week, and we will see you next time.